Hey, Carl here. Welcome back to my course on guitar chords and how to use them and how to play them, and more importantly, how to understand these chords. There's a few critical concepts I'm going to talk about in this video, 3 to be exact. The first one is the idea of key, the concept of key. The second one is the concept of tonality, and the third one is cadencing. I've covered all these things in my music theory course, which I hope you're taking or have taken, but let's nail them down here. When I first started playing, I always would say, oh, what key is that in? Or I'm in this key, or I'm in that key, never really knowing what it meant. Sure, certain chords fit together, and then you could play certain scales over them, but it really became clear to me when one of my teachers said, it's simple, a key is a scale. All the notes in all the chords are members of that scale. All the notes in the melody are members of that scale. A melody is a mixed up scale. A key is a scale and its harmonies, playing notes of the scale with other notes of the scale. That's a pretty simple way to look at it. Let's examine that concept on a musical staff, just to make it a little more clear. As I said before, a key is a scale. Here we have the key of C, a C major scale. Every scale, of course, has a root note. In this case, the root note is good old C. It may be helpful for you to think of a scale in terms of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Also, give each member of the scale a number, C being the first, D being the second, E being the third, and so on. Essentially, a key is a scale. If a song is written in the key of C, all the notes in all the chords and all the notes in the melody are members of the scale. When you harmonize the scale, you're adding another note to it, sounding it together, playing them together. Here I've harmonized the C. Since traditional theory is harmony by thirds, the third note of the scale E is added to and sounded with the C root note. This is called a dyad, C and E together. I have harmonized the C with the third of the scale, harmony by thirds. Here, I've applied that treatment to every member of the scale, so I've come up with a series of dyads. Here, I'm continuing to harmonize. I'm adding a new note that is a third above E, 3 scale steps away. That note is G. Now I have C, E, and G together, and that is called a triad. A triad is the result of the harmony by thirds. This 3-note chord, C, E, and G, is called a major chord or a major triad. Here, I've applied the same treatment to every member in the scale, harmonizing those notes yet again. Now I have a series of triads, a series of 3-note chords. Remember, I'm still thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm keeping do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do in mind. And here I have a series of chords, beginning with C major. I've harmonized every note in the scale by thirds. I wind up with 1 major, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4 major, 5 major, 6 minor, 7 diminished, and 1 major. Those are the chords in the key of C. That is harmony by thirds, also called diatonic harmony. Next, let's really nail down this concept of key with a simple tune based on the C major scale. Everyone knows London Bridge is Falling Down. It's got a simple melody with a few notes of the C major scale and using one of the all-time cadences, 1 to 5, known as the authentic cadence. The 1 chord, the 1 chord, the 5 chord, the 1 chord. A very simple cadence, a very simple melody, but it will perfectly illustrate the concept of key as I have described it here. Once we have firmly established in our mind what a key is, and how the notes in that key relate to each other, and how they relate ultimately to the scale from which they are drawn, we can discuss the critical concept of tonality. Tonality is the sound of something, its general overall flavor. Undoubtedly, the most common tonality in music is the major tonality. The major scale sounds bright, happy, cheerful, and consonant. It just sounds right, it just seems to fit together. Most of the songs in our world are based on the major scale and its harmonies. Notice, as I cycle through a few of the chords in C major, they just all seem to go together. Right? Everything just fits. Until I play somebody not in the key, then the tonality goes out the window, the concept of key is shattered, and we're no longer in the major scale. Finally, let's take a second to review the concept of the cadence. A cadence is a feeling of rest, resolution, and repose that is the result of chord changes. It is produced by switching chords. The main concept in music, in fact, is cadencing. The whole process of music is often simplified with the terms tension and release. For example, I can establish the key of C by playing a C chord, navigate away from that C by playing the 4 chord F, and then when I arrive at G, G7, there's a feeling of expectancy in the air, a feeling of tension. I'm expecting something to happen, and I'm expecting that C back to 1. I often say it's like playing baseball. You start on home plate, go to the bases, and back to home. When I taught elementary school, I used to demonstrate the cadencing like this. This is the world's shortest song. Another way to look at the cadence is the point at which you say the end. So let's say I'm going to take a song like Twist and Shout. The end, right? I could never play Twist and Shout like this. The end. That violates one of the basic principles of music, which is tension and release. Notice how long I stay on that G7 chord. I'm still creating that feeling of expectancy, and finally it's resolved back to C. That's the concept of tension and release. The 3 things you should understand from this video are the concept of key, the ideas of tonality, and cadencing. This is Carl. Thanks for checking out my stuff. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this lesson.